if you look at, if you look at genius, the quality of genius, a lot of times it's the most spontaneous, random thing. It's not this high nurtured in the school system, 18 years of schooling thing where if you stuff your head with enough, intellectual data that was, pioneered by geniuses 200 years ago, which is why they're in the textbooks in the first place, that somehow that's genius. Like, oh, if we just cram intellectual information into children's heads, even if they have no fucking interest in learning those things, somehow that's going to inevitably make them Einstein. But in reality, as I pointed out in some of my videos before, no one could teach Einstein the theory of relativity. No one can teach Einstein the things that he came up with when he came up with them, because no one had come up with them before. They weren't in textbooks. Sure, he had to learn things along the way that previous people had pioneered, but even if you look at an example like, Jacob Barnett, he was an autistic kid who was born a child genius.
Yeah, I've heard of him. I've seen the videos.
Yeah, this is a kid who at age 2 or 3 is on the kitchen floor dumping a box of Cheerios on the floor and rearranging the Cheerios as a formula in his own baby language to write out deep math formulas. Who taught him that? He didn't even need textbooks. He didn't even have to learn previous subjects in physics from 200 years ago. Somehow it was in there already. And I think that all intellect comes from some kind of intuitive thing, something going on inside. We tend to think that knowledge and genius is outside. It's in the textbooks, it's in the test grades, it's in the classroom, it's in the professors. But more often than not, when you see the real geniuses, the ones that we praise in the history books, they did not become geniuses regurgitating information that past people came up with. Their genius was the ability to think outside the box, to shatter the current paradigm, something you cannot get in school, because schools only harbor old information. They don't pioneer new information.
Right. New, right? One of the worst things I see happening, though, is all these people, I think confidence and intelligence is one of the biggest things, where if you're confident, and that's where you see as they get older, they start to lose confidence in basic activities. They're afraid of a DVD player. Me, I was afraid today before I was on. But confidence plays a huge role, and it's like whether they had confident people around them that were supportive of them, affects their ability to learn. And so if you're in a negative environment around negative, make you nervous, and you're not going to seem as, capable. And I was told Einstein didn't actually start really talking until he was 4. He was a slow kid, and he didn't see the need for it. Like in his mind, it was I think confidence, though, has a lot to do with people's intelligence, and people are told they're dumb, and therefore they live the expectation first. I'm confident that people can rehabilitate their brains, and it follows somewhat in that order. Like you change your belief system, you're operating in your head, and then your body will follow as you rehabilitate your own brain. I definitely, I'm annoyed that doctors, they tell everyone, oh, you have a condition, and then the person lives out the condition. They say, oh, I'm disabled, I got a bad back, It's like if you shovel something the day before and it's sore, you go to the doctor, and the doctor wants to line them up for surgery, and they're like, oh yeah, I can't, I'm sorry, I can't do heavy lifting, bad back. Dude, all of us have a sore back if you go and shovel something the next day. It's called being a human being. Everyone's a victim right now.
I've seen that so much in my own experience. My own mother, for example, her doctor says she's got this condition and that condition and that condition, and I can just so easily tell how much of that is just my mom's placebo. Her believing what the doctor said must be true, and then it literally manifesting as symptoms in her life that she thinks she's a freaking slave to it. I try to shatter her from the matrix, and it doesn't fucking work.
I think family's the hardest to break out.
Yeah,
I
and
think
it's
family
frustrating
members
because
are
of
the
all the
least
people.
receptive.
Yeah, of all the people, right? Why does it have to be the family? But on your point, real quick, on confidence being a necessity for genius and intelligence, well, without a doubt. It's happened to me multiple times in the past where, I'll think about something. I'll have an idea about maybe like a little invention, like some kind of thing you put on your window to do this or that. And I remember I've had ideas before for like practical little functional inventions. I was like, wow, that would be really cool. But then right after that, a thought would come to my mind and it would say, yeah, but you know what? People probably aren't going to like that very much. It's not going to this or that or whatever. And then, like a year and a half later, guess what happens? I'm there freaking surfing the internet or something, and there's an ad for the very same idea I had thought of, and now some guy's making millions of dollars off. That has happened to me about 2 or 3 times with just like basic invention things. And I think that, if you take Einstein, for example, um, without confidence, without self-trust, without trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, how could somebody like Einstein ever actually pioneer physics if his ideas, these little inklings of ideas that would eventually become E=mc squared, or that would eventually become, general relativity. If you don't have confidence, you won't have enough faith in those ideas to actually consider them for more than 3 seconds before dismissing them, to actually really think, hey, what if this is possible? To actually resist everybody else who says, you're wrong, you're full of shit, your new way of thinking, your new paradigm shift, there's no way it can be wrong, because Newton is the only smart one from 200 years ago, because we worship Newton. Without self-confidence, Einstein could have never actually pursued his ideas and then had the confidence to defend them in the face of criticisms and doubters who are nothing more than minions who worship true geniuses from the past, like Newton, etc. So you're so damn right when you talk about like confidence being necessary and intelligence. If people don't have self-esteem, if they don't have belief in themselves, you're fucked. And I think that's the most important thing you need in life. The most important thing you need in life is self-belief. And the school system doesn't know you're flawed. You got to raise your hand before you do anything. You got to ask for permission. You got to tremble. You got to meet somebody else's standards instead of returning to yourself and what you believe. It's a total handicapping of self-belief, and I think it's such a subtle thing. That self-belief is so subtle. It's something we overlook, that we don't even realize how detrimental school is because of not really giving people self-freaking belief.
Right. Well, I guess they do, and they do reward most obedient students in school. Kiss in the ass teacher, and it's not always a great teacher. The teachers are not always really brilliant people. Rather than being confident because they worked hard, that they had, or this something that's really, like an exceptional activity. Like you were talking about exceptional people the other day in a YouTube video, and how if you're truly exceptional, you're going to make it fine no matter what. And if you're not, just follow the mediocre structure and get your corporate job and be a good, wage slave, and that's, for you. When you do the same exact activities, everyone else who's not exceptional. And my book talks about that a lot.
Um, there's nothing confident about waking up in the morning in a puddle of your own vomit because you're hungover from all the beer you drank the night. It's not really that confident. Another thing that you talk about in your book, which something that freaks me out, is the television matrix, TV matrix. It is such a pervasive thing. There's a video I want to do that I haven't done yet because it's a little risky, but hopefully I'll summon the courage soon enough. But it has to do with like television and brainwash and that. It is in essence, the TV is it's a form of control. It's infiltrated our lives. It's walked into our living rooms. That's one of the things you go in really in depth. Could you kind of elaborate on what I would call the TV matrix and what's going on with that?
You interview people, so they don't know what planet they're on. Alex Jones always says that. All these people don't know what planet they're on. They can't pick out any country on the map. They can't name the president. We don't respect the intelligence of our friends, our family, our coworkers. We all constantly say how stupid everyone is, but no one ever They never think they're the stupid person. You know, no one
Yeah.
ever thinks, oh, I'm just one of them. What do you do every morning? What do you do every night after work? What do you do before bed? You know, and you look at activities. And it turns out that you copy all those same activities, including watching television. How is it you're not subject to the same handicapping effects that those people are? And deep down, we all know things that are true. And no matter how hard you deny it, if you hear something that's true, it's going to pick your conscious. And I think my book is kind of like a jackhammer.
You know, it's interesting because I think that one of the, man, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but, you know, one of the key themes, it seems, of your book, you know, is escapism. I mean, that's what I kept noticing, and this ties into television, but, you know, almost everything that we've discussed so far, these key themes from your book, it's almost all escapism. Happy hour, getting drunk, the medications, the prescription pills, Jesus, even marriage and thinking you're going to get long-term fulfillment in a marriage, to television. Television as a form of escapism. It's almost like, you know, we're all trying to escape something to live in fantasy, which of course Disneyland plays a role in that because, you know, they're the happiest place on earth.
Right.
Fantasyland. People love fantasy. They love delusion. They love. And what do you think people are running from? You know, I mean, there's so many things. You know, we can talk about the effects. You know, television is an effect of this, or you know, marriage is an effect of that. It's hard to tell the chicken or the egg what's going on. But what do you think people are running from? You know, where so many things they're trying to escape from with the drugs, the medication, the alcohol, the this, the that, the television. Why or what do you think people are running from? Why are they running, or what are they running from?
They're running from themselves. They're running from who they've become. You know, they're running from the product of their own actions. They're running from who they become. They don't like who they see. And when they were a little kid, if you asked them, what do you want to be when you grow up? They wouldn't say, like when you're a little kid, you know, and in the world, the sky is, you can become whatever you want, you know, fireman, superhero, pro athlete, rock star. When you ask little kids, none of them say, I want to be a bloated 250-pound fat guy who's bald, I hate my wife, and I have to get drunk to even think about trying to have sex with her because I'm so repulsed by her, because she's a big fat blob too, and I hate my job, and I'm, you know, I hate my boss, I resent my life. People, they resent who they've become. They're running from themselves. And rather than do the hard work and go through the uncomfortable process of facing themselves, they just want to video game, you know, watch someone else's life, and then maybe somehow if they cheat and steal enough to get that money, their kid can have a life that's honorable. So I think a lot of people are ashamed of themselves, honestly. I think they're ashamed, and rather than people they do go to for helping them face the truth, to face themselves, they don't. They just give them another escape, another out. They give them like a pass from having to look at themselves. You know, I had a moment in my life where I had to look at myself. You know, 3 years ago, I said, "Holy shit, I'm an alcoholic. I have to quit drinking. I got to go get help." And you know what I did? I went and I got help. I went to a group of people who quit drinking, and I asked them what they did and how they did it, and then I copied exactly what they did. And behold, it worked. You know. So I discontinued to be someone who was suffering from a problem because I addressed my problem and I was honest with myself. And I think that's the biggest thing we can do to help each other is to be honest with other people about our own downfalls. And you know, my ego got destroyed 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I mean, it was leveled. It was like the World Trade Centers on 9/11. That was my ego being completely destroyed. And me going, okay, yeah, I need help. And, you know, that's it. I think a lot of people, their biggest thing that they're trying to from is themselves. And a lot of people, rather than doing what they can do to self-confidence, the book talks about, you know, doing the work to regain your self-confidence.
Let's go into that a little bit. Tell me a little bit about the solutions.
All right, the solutions are tackle your addiction problems and go through, you know. And I don't advocate spending $20,000 to go to the television commercial with a guy who says, I used to be an addict for 10 years and now I'm not, you know, go to Malibu. Well, guess what? Most of us can't afford to go to Malibu, nor do we have insurance to pay for that. You know, conventional method like AA, and read books, you know, stop watching television with constant beer commercials, and start working, start taking a walk. You know, you walk on your videos, you're just walking around town. Walking is like the most natural thing. Like we walk on, and if you go for a short walk, usually by the time you get home, about whatever you're worried about.
Oh,
and a lot of people,
walking to me is like, it's like meditation, man. It's just incredible. It's like God's gift to us. It's amazing. Walking is the most overlooked, underrated thing on planet fucking Earth. It's really amazing.
Yeah, walking and not running either. Like I'm a person where I'm not a heavy guy. Okay, I'm a slim guy. I still weigh the same I did when I was in high school, and I'm not running, jogging. You know, maybe work out twice a week. It's not even that complicated. It has a lot more to do with their diet, the types of foods they eat, not even the quantity, but the type of foods they eat. Like grains. You know, a lot of people eat grains, and their body can't process it. They get this crazy insulin response when they eat the grains, and then their body goes into fast mode. And if they just would have eaten what they wanted to eat, like you know, some meat and some fat, their body would actually burn the stuff, and it wouldn't have a insulin response. And I think it's a big joke, the whole pyramid and a lot of the things we're taught. You watch the people who obey it, and they're less healthy than people who just do what their body tells them is working. Like, we all are a little bit different. There's certain foods and things you can agree with your system and some things that don't. And some people just plow right through that, and they're going to eat something that tastes good but always some horrible indigestion. And it's like, maybe your body, if you're keeled over and you're not supposed to be eating that, you know?
Yeah, maybe, just maybe.
My biggest intention with the book is to help friends and family members who people can't reason with otherwise. We all know that if you try to talk to your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, normally family are the fastest to throw the advice of family out the window. You know, they're very stubborn. A lot of times a complete stranger could walk up to them and they'll follow their advice more than they will a family member. And so my book, the greatest intent is to help wake people up and to give them back what's been taken from a lot of them, which is their conscience, you know, their connection to just something spiritual, and not organized spirituality, but a brand of spirituality in which you're going to treat people better. You know, you're going to have compassion, and, you know, to help them forgive themselves, because a lot of us we've been subjected to impossible to follow rules. You know, you're trained at school, if you do this, then this happens. Then you get out in the job market and you're told, if you do this, then this happens. And a lot of times your ethics have to be completely abandoned to get material success. And this hope, and my intention is to help shatter programming that a lot of people are very programmed, and I'm hoping that I can break through that subconscious programming to have friends and family that you care about get back to where more like they were when they were kids, when they were loving, caring. And I want people to stop projecting what little conscience they do have left if they are someone who has guilt. And, you know, if you do something wrong, you're supposed to be guilty. And if you have a conscience, I hate it when the public is projecting their conscience and morals and ethics onto corrupt politicians and bankers that don't have a conscience towards us if you look at their actions. You know, their actions show they don't care about the tiny, you know, ants that are the public. And so I really want to break through people's disconnected logic. You know, they're not approaching things in a logical manner, and I don't want the group that we're a part of get pitted against one another. You know, I don't want to see us fight with each other when there's a few people with no consciences at all that are picking on the group. I don't like seeing people get bullied, you know. And if no one else is going to stand up for the peon public, then I'm going to be an ant who does stand up to the to the other one.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Yes, without a doubt, we are in control. We just forgotten it. We forgot it. We don't know anymore. Guys, let me just throw this out to the audience. You guys are in control. You've forgotten it. You've forgotten the power of choices. Like, you have no fucking clue how much power you have to improve your life just in the choices you make. Max, thanks a lot for coming on. Guys, thanks a lot for listening. Leave your comments below.
Thanks, Chris.
Stay in the line. Yeah, so stay in the line so we keep talking about something. And thanks a lot, guys. Stay tuned for the next episode.